there are certain circumstances that come into your life that you're like, I didn't do this. 2020 happened to all of us. Did you bring that on to yourself? No, I didn't either. But how are you responding to that? Like, what are your thoughts now in this circumstance that you're in? And what are your beliefs and what are your feelings? So that's what he's saying is like, it's not to say that every circumstance is a direct result of your entire character, but every circumstance will in some way be intimately linked to a thought that you are having. And all of that is just putting the agency back into you to create your reality, to make any circumstance that you are moving through something that in some way, shape, or form will serve you. This is The Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise.
Quick question. Are you playing it safe or are you playing it true? True to your authentic self? True to what you really desire for your life? True to your actual potential? This is no dress rehearsal, you guys. This is your life. You are here to live from your most extraordinary self, your whole self. And I'm so excited to share with you that my very first authored book, First of Many to Come, is finally coming out this year. The Truth in You Knows. This is more than a collection of essays, stories, and prose. It's a real manifesto that helps you shift what you believe is actually possible for you in your life. It's a lighthouse. It's an anchor. It's that sign that you craved right when you needed it most. This book will help you get into the most profound relationship with your most authentic self. This relationship that's forged from absolute self-love and trust, where you are going to bet on yourself, where you are going to live courageously so that you can experience the life that you really want to experience and nobody else's idea of what that needs to be or should be. I'm inviting you to join my book launch waitlist today so that you can access an exclusive live virtual workshop that I'm hosting to celebrate my book launch. This is going to be such a fun event. We're going to have an intimate conversation where I'm going to present the principles of the book. We're going to have a Q&A segment, and there's going to be other surprises at this event. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. In addition to that, being on this list is also going to give you access to other special bonuses that I'll be announcing closer to the book launch. To join this list, head over to roxannesaffaie.com/The Truth in You Knows and enter your information. And it's also on the homepage of my website, Roxanne Saffaie. I can't wait to spend this time with you. I cannot wait for you to have this book. Back to the episode.
Welcome back. Today's episode is going to be a full breakdown on manifesting, not just how to manifest, why to manifest, but it's going to be an actual resource for you. I'm going to share some of my favorite books and other resources that help you on your manifestation journey. So wherever you are in your manifestation journey, if you're not a full believer, if you just started kind of playing with this in your life, or maybe you are what I call a manifesting badass, which is my goal for all of you to become, if not already, this episode will serve real value because I consider myself a manifesting badass, to be honest. At this point, I have so much fucking proof of it. And yet I still love and go to resources that help me to stay very anchored in my highest creative power. I mean, ultimately, just diving into this, wasting no time here, to manifest is to be a conscious creator of your reality. Now, look, you could be manifesting things that you're not aware of and things that don't feel good, because manifesting is ultimately where your thoughts and your beliefs, your dominant thoughts and beliefs are creating a feeling within you, and that trifecta is shaping your reality. So when you manifest, there's a visualization process that is integrated, that is a big piece of it. But even if you don't pull on that thread, if you're not, spending time visualizing, if you are walking around with certain beliefs, certain thoughts that are creating certain feelings in your world, you're manifesting aspects of your reality from that thought, belief, and feeling. So when you become a conscious creator, which is ultimately where you become a real manifesting badass, is when you are aware of the power of your thoughts, the power of your beliefs, the power of your feeling, such to that you are leveraging, intentionally creating and leveraging your thoughts, your beliefs, and your feelings to bring something that you cherish, that you desire, that you want to experience in your life into form, right? So one of the greatest questions is, do you believe in manifesting? Is manifesting real? Abso-fucking-lutely. I know this so deeply, so truly at this point in my life, because like I said, I have so much proof. You get to a point where you're like, it's funny. I really love Abraham Hicks. If you don't know who Abraham Hicks is already, side note, you definitely want to take notes because again, this is going to be resources. So I'm already dropping them on you. Abraham Hicks, is this woman, Esther, who channels Abraham, and she is such a gangster when it comes to all things manifesting. And I love listening to her just go on tangents on if you Google her or go to YouTube and pull her up. I mean, there's talks for the rest of your life, I swear, that you can listen to Abraham Hicks because she's done so many already and on so many different subjects. She first came into my life. I think it was like at least 15 years ago. And definitely look into Abraham Hicks books because I would say if you were just getting started on the manifestation journey, dropping into Abraham is going to take you into the sweet spot of what it actually means to manifest in your life and how to truly become a conscious creator of your reality. But yeah, I remember when Abraham came into my experience, it was, everything is such perfectly timed, right? I mean, there's like this whole aligned timing idea, which is really true. But what was so cool for me when Abraham came in is that listening to her started to really wake up the conscious creator in me, right? We're always creating. The question is, are you conscious of what you're creating? And it's really easy to sort of sleepwalk through your life and not be aware of what you're creating in your life. But when you start to become aware and more aware and more aware, this is where you can start to become more intentional about what you're creating. And this is also where, when things aren't feeling great, when fears come in, when doubts come in, that awareness will become so strong that you catch those fears and those doubts and you're able to gently start to redirect it into empowered thinking, more confident beliefs, and, get you back on track so that you can actually manifest the things that you would like to manifest in your life. But Abraham, again, such a powerful resource for manifesting. And there's so many, there's other great resources that I'm going to drop you into. I think it's important to say this. Manifesting is not some new aged concept or, it wasn't born from the movie The Secret. The Secret did a great job of commercializing the idea around manifesting and really bringing it out on to a larger audience. But manifesting has been around forever, truly. One of my favorite books by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. I have it here. I'll probably open to a page and just read you a passage that was written in the 1800s, was another one of the very first books that came into my world, gifted to me from my dear friend Gina Brooke, and came in again at perfect timing that really rooted me into my creative power, reminding me of how capable I am to create the life that I truly want to experience in my life. But again, this book was written in the 1800s, and he's not talking directly about manifesting, but what he does poetically elaborate on is the power of your thoughts, the power of your beliefs, the power of your feelings, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. What are your dominant thoughts? What are your dominant beliefs? And what are the dominant feelings that you are moving through your day with? That is creating your reality. That's why waking up and becoming conscious of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what you're believing is so huge if you want to become a manifesting badass, right? So I want to tell you a fun story. Let me just drop you into a fun story. So when I really started to connect with this, being a conscious creator. So it was like the switch inside of me was turned on. I've always been a very mystic, deep thinking, deep feeling, introspective, connected to source. I mean, my lexicon was busting out things like oneness when I was fucking 20 years old. I look back at my journals. I'm like, back then, really? I was like, yeah, wow. So it's always just been within me. However, some of the resources, some of which I've already shared, but there's more coming, have really helped me to connect with the conscious part of myself that has that agency to create my world, right? So I want to tell you a story about a purple Porsche, because this is a fun one for me. So especially when I was like on a roll with Abraham and just listening to so many of her rampages. If you go onto YouTube, you'll see she has rampages. I started playing this game that I created for myself called Manifest That Shit. And there were one thing that I was really focused on creating, which was a series of numbers that I'll keep to myself. And it was so fucking fun because I would see these numbers just pop up, period. And every time they would, especially when I felt it coming, like, oh, I'm going to see one now, and then boom, it would come. For me, it was like a kiss from the universe. So wanting to take it deeper, I was like, all right, that's cool, but let me make this a little harder on myself, right? So I decided that I was going to manifest a purple Porsche, a grape purple Porsche. It was very specific, and that's an important part of manifesting. I'll talk about that. But it was specific. It was grape purple. Why? Because how often do you see a grape purple Porsche? Not often at all. So I got clear on what I wanted to experience. That's very important. That's like step number one. You have to have clarity on what you want. Now, look, I know there's a lot of talk around like be so specific, and I am actually inviting you to be specific. One thing that I do want to mention is that sometimes we can become overly specific to where we start to control, and we want to be aware of that, right? I'm going to get back to the purple Porsche, but since I'm on a roll right here, you want to leave some room, if you can, it depends on what you're trying to manifest, for something that you couldn't imagine to come in. So like if it's your partner, like you want to manifest your soulmate, your partner, but you're so specific, like, he has to have this color beard and, like wear his shoes this way, or, she has to have this kind of haircut and, like to eat this very specific food. Look, I'm not saying you can't have this. I'm just saying sometimes when we get so deeply specific, we start to kind of limit ourselves to what's actually possible. So I think it's important to have clarity around what is most important to you, with what you're aiming for, but don't go too far to where now you kind of block and limit, something that you couldn't even imagine that could blow away, your ultimate vision, right? Because that is a reality that has happened for sure in my life. So back to the purple Porsche. The purple Porsche, I was pretty specific. I wasn't like, oh, it has to be a 911 or it needs to be a Boxer. Okay. I just said great purple. So there was some clarity there, but there was also room for it to be whatever kind of Porsche. Didn't matter what fucking year, what model, just had to be great purple. Driving home the point. Here's another thing that I did not do, and this is actually very important. And this is probably one of the hardest parts of manifesting, is I didn't put a timeline on it. Some people would argue that. Like, there are a lot of creators out there who their whole business is on manifesting. And, they'll say, like, by this date. And maybe that works in some situations. But sometimes I feel like it actually produces resistance, because now it's like this over controlling thing. And I get it. Sometimes there's like a deadline, and I've had that in my own life where it's like, no, I have to hit it by that. This has to come through for me by that time, And again, I'm going to leave room here to say that nothing that I'm sharing, by the way, is like a hard rule. It's like, kind of make it your own, but there are some core principles that I think that are universal when we're talking about manifesting. And I do believe that in most situations, when we constrict the manifestation under when we put a time constraint on it, I think it produces fear. It produces resistance. It produces this urgency and haste that literally works against us. Unless you can literally be like, you know what, by, that 2-week mark, this is going to happen for me. If you can truly, emphasis on fucking truly, do that and throw it away, meaning you're not looking at the clock, you're not looking at the calendar, like any day now, any minute now. If you can totally remove all of that, like you order it from Amazon and you're not questioning what time, like you just know it said prime delivery by 2:00. Like you're not checking every hour. Wait, did it come yet? If you can do that, then by all means, then fuck yeah, drop in and create that time constraint, because then you're not fueling the process with resistance. You're not, operating with this low key insecurity that's going to completely disrupt the whole process. But if you aren't able to do that, then you might be literally working against yourself in this manifestation that you want. So I didn't create a timeline. But, the sooner the better would have been fun, because it's kind of like, how fast can I, manifest this fucking great purple Porsche? It's so wild. So, okay. So what ends up happening is this. So I start seeing some Porsches, of course, and I kept seeing these deep violet, almost could be blue, almost violet. And sometimes, this is so funny to play back in my mind. Sometimes the sun would hit it a certain way and I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is, oh my gosh. And I'd be like, Roxanne, no, don't fucking lie to yourself. Like, this is really important. I'm gonna expand on this. Don't try and settle here. You said grape. You said grape. It doesn't matter if the sun's making it more purple. Like, that's not grape. Okay, it's purple, but is it grape purple? And so the idea there, the thread that I want to pull on there, is that you don't have to settle, right? Don't convince yourself to settle outside of what you truly want or believe is possible. Because that's the thing. It's like, usually when you're doing that, it's because you actually don't believe what you truly want is possible. So you will sort of negotiate with yourself and you'll settle outside of it. And ultimately what you'll be doing is you'll be infusing this disbelief, this doubt into the process. And right there, it's like, forget it. You know what I mean? So I would call myself out. And that was just funny with me, because it probably happened over the span of I think this whole process took about a month. Can't remember exactly, but I don't believe it was more than a month. And so in those first couple of weeks, I would see this or I would almost see it. I was like, oh my God, And, so when that would happen, I'd be like, you know what? Okay, that wasn't it, but I'm getting closer. And that's also another thread to pull on there. Sometimes when it seems like something that you really want, it looks like it's going to happen. It's so close to being the thing, but it's not ultimately it. It looks like the opportunity that you wanted, but it ends up not being that. Like it falls through. Just making an example. A really empowered thought and frequency to hold yourself in those moments is, I'm getting closer. Because the opposite of that would be like, oh man, it's not going to happen, right? Like you start to, again, infuse a sense of disbelief, lack of confidence, doubt into the unfolding, into the process. And right there, you're like kicking yourself out of the experience. You're kicking the experience out of your experience. You're creating that resistance and you're keeping it away from you. Okay. So it's one day I'm doing a photo shoot and I'm with the videographer, and we pull over, we park, we're by the beach, and really, like when we were parking, I said to him, oh, wait a second, hold on. He goes, what's up? I go, oh, I thought I saw a purple Porsche. That's all. Because I was driving, I thought I saw a purple Porsche. He goes, what's up with the purple Porsche? I said, oh, I'm just playing this game with myself called Manifest That Shit. And I just have this great purple Porsche that I just, really believe that I can manifest and I want to see. He goes, huh. He pulls out his phone and he shows me a grape purple 911. And he goes, see that house right there? The owner of that house owns this car. I have it. I'd have to dig. I probably should have. I had to dig through my images to bring it and share it in the video, but whatever, we don't have time for that right now. But trust me when I tell you, he pulled out this video because he was in the car. He's friends with the owner. And I'm looking at this great purple fucking 911. And I'm like, and it was just so funny because we were just parked next to the owner's house. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? No way. So here we go. Stage one, I'm actually seeing the great purple Porsche. But that wasn't good enough for me. Don't settle, right? Like, cool. We're getting closer. And this is so trippy, that we're right next to the home. I have to be getting closer. So that was super exciting. And it definitely reinforced confidence that I am going to see this Porsche. I mean, it was in, a neighborhood close to mine. So like, for sure, I'm going to see this Porsche at some point. And sure enough, I think it was within that next week, driving down the street and behind the stoplight is that great purple 911. 911. I manifested the purple Porsche, you guys. Now, that can sound funny. Oh, what a coincidence. Oh, all those things will start to come into a lot of, people's minds, or I'm not saying it's you, but I'm saying it could. Or in the case of your own life, maybe you manifested something, but then you're like, oh yeah, that was luck. That was coincidence. Maybe. For me though, at that point, I was like, oh, hell no. This was not luck. This was not coincidence. This was absolutely fucking intentional. And by the way, I would end up seeing that Porsche, after that a couple more times, which was so cool. The piece that I think is just so important to share is that I had a clear vision. I didn't constrain the vision. I had clarity and there were some details, but I didn't overdo it with the details to where I couldn't leave room for it to just kind of reveal itself as it wanted to. I didn't put this time constraint on it. I didn't think about how it was going to happen. I just knew that it would. When certain other Porsches would come into the picture and almost want to hijack me from my ultimate vision, I did not allow it to. I did not settle. I reinforced my confidence. I did not invest in doubt or disbelief that ultimately what I wanted to experience was possible. And I just settled in that energy that it's bound to happen. It has to happen. And it did. So I really just gave you the formula for manifesting by using my purple Porsche story. And again, in my life, you guys, especially because I live so intuitively, that is where I lead from. I lead from my intuitive mind, and I let my reasoning and my rational mind support my journey into, creating my reality, because that's important too. But ultimately, I'm leading from my heart space, and then my mind executes and creates a plan and helps me get into action, right? But the directive is coming from my heart, and this is where your intuitive self speaks to you. Because of that, I'm always on the edge of uncertainty. We all live with uncertainty, but I'm like, I dance on the edge of uncertainty. It's so radical, actually, how I've been able to do this my whole life. And I guess I'm just, I'm one of those people who's really good at risk taking. I'm more comfortable with risks than maybe a lot of other people are. And one of the things about manifesting that I think is really important to share here is that it's that quote, dare to believe. You have to dare to believe that what you truly want to experience in any domain of your life as a whole, is actually possible for you. Because again, your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs are what create your life and are certainly the core elements to manifesting. So many of the books around manifesting, even if they're not books that are focused specifically on manifesting, touch on those three core elements. Why? Because it really just does come down to that, and then, so let me actually say this. So the more confidence, the more, I don't even want to say trust that you have that certain things that you desire will unfold for you. Trust is cool. Trust is important. It's more of this knowing energy, right? Knowing energy. Knowing feels deeper than trusting, right? Because trust is still like, I don't know, it's like one notch up it. And it's so important. So I'm not at all, cutting that down. It's so important. And I find like when you are on this manifesting journey that and let's just say you're in a really great place with it, sometimes you're in a strong place of knowing, but then you'll move into a place of trusting. And that's a perfect way to explain what I'm trying to say, because in the trust, it's almost like you are combating, whether it's subtly or maybe it's not so subtle. It's like a big moment of having to combat this doubt or this insecurity, some kind of belief or worry around it not happening for you, it not being possible for you. So you have to reinforce that trust. But when trust is so locked in, you're in a state of just knowing. When we use Amazon again as the example, when you order from Amazon, you're not trusting that Amazon, your package is going to show up. You just know. Because you've already developed trust with Amazon at this point. I'm not saying they can't fuck up at times, because they certainly can. But for the most part, they're pretty on point, right? They say they're going to get you that box by 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and it's showing up by 2 p.m. on a Sunday. So over time, that consistency, that trust consistency puts you in a place where you just know you're going to get what you ordered. Right. And there are so many people who actually talk about manifesting in that way too. And it's cool to put in, because this is, again, it's like a resource episode for you. What's your order? Put in your order. Be clear about what you truly want, which is actually hard for a lot of people, but it is a very important piece here. Put the order in, and then you have to do the work of just knowing that, like Amazon, it's going to come through. I want to share a couple of books that I brought that I really love, not just around manifesting, but the power of thought, the power of your beliefs, the power of thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. And these books specifically, I think, do an excellent job of touching the power of thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, also specifically around manifesting. And again, as a man thinketh, then I'll open that one up and just read a paragraph at it and then just tease it out. That one is like, there's a melody to his writing that I feel. So it's one part teaching, but it doesn't feel like teaching. Whereas like the book by Roxy, how do you say Roxy's last name? Sorry, Roxy. Nafouzi, Manifest, her book, which is, an international bestseller. She's got like this clear 7-step process. And I think she did an excellent job of that book. As a Man Thinketh doesn't talk about manifesting, but As a Man Thinketh, it's this poetic flow, this melody that is taking you through the journey of the power of thought, belief, and feeling, and how that shapes your reality. So, Manifest, like I just mentioned, 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life by Roxy Nafouzi. Again, she did a great job because I know, especially the subject of manifesting, there's just so much out there, right? So smart of her to take the core foundational principles on manifesting and putting this in a 7-step process for you. Okay. I think it is really smart, and I think it's really supportive because people need that at times. It's like, what is the blueprint? What's the focus here? And she definitely does that. There's a lot of what she speaks or what she's written about in this book that lives in so much of what I share. It comes down to your authentic self-love being a huge piece to manifesting. So I love how she integrated those elements into the manifesting process. Another piece that she did, which is, it feels like an advertisement for my course, and I am going to shamelessly plug my course here, because if you have not read this book yet and you're going to, you're gonna experience what I'm going to share with you, or maybe you already did read her book and you came across her conversation and even the meditation around your future self and how fucking important your future self is when it comes to manifesting anything that you desire in your life. So, plugging it here, there's a link in the show notes. I created the sexiest, femininely fierce, easy to digest and to, get your hands in digital course on your future self. Okay, so if you show up and you do the work with the course, you absolutely do develop not only a clear vision of your vision self, your future self, but you actually, my whole big piece around the future self is you don't just visualize this vision self, but you actually create a relationship with this highest expression of yourself, right? So I love that she brings the future self into the manifestation process because it's true. My podcast didn't make me. I made my podcast. Everything that you create in your life is not creating you, it's you creating it. So if you want to think about what the next iteration of your life is, what's the next feeling, the next chapter in the next season, what does it look like? What does it feel like? All of that. Well, you have to think about who that version of you is that's living that experience, because that's what's going to bring the experience into form. So future self, sometimes I feel like my conversation around the future self, even though I'm not the only one, I mean, there's psychologists who've done TED Talks around this, but my take on it is unique to me, right? Sometimes I feel like it's too far ahead of its time, but it's fine because the time will come where it really fucking clicks. Oh, I really need to get clear on this expression myself. And I really need to develop a relationship with this highest vision expression of myself, because that is ultimately my North Star. That's your North Star. That's how you get to everywhere you want to go. It's whoever that version of you is, which is already within you, which is not to say that you don't have to make adjustments in your life. Sure, we always do. But knowing who that vision is, which is always going to evolve too, but the one just right in front of you, that gives you the material that you need to work on yourself in ways that create the reality that and the experiences in your reality that you want to have. So love the book, love my course. Definitely check it out, both, because it will support you wherever you are in your process. Okay. So let me actually Make It Happen, Manifest the Life of Your Dreams. So this is by my friend Jordana Levin. And I remember reading this book, I think it was 2020. It just came out and I was like, fuck yeah. And by the way, at that point, I'm super dialed in and deep with manifesting. But again, it doesn't matter. I'm a manifesting badass. And the next great manifesting book that comes out or, anything related, if I feel drawn to it, I'm not too good to drop into the resource. It's not like, oh, I already know. Because again, the way that we play with life, especially when you're living on the edge of uncertainty, the way that I am, you can't get enough reminders and reinforcement. And the minute you think you're too good for that, that's not a great place to be. It's very egoic. You're operating from a place that's not helping you in your life. For me, even if I read this book and everything in it is something that I already know, I believe that there's always a new take, a new feeling, a new something that can move into your experience and upregulate your belief, upregulate your process, upregulate your knowing, right? It doesn't hurt you, right? What hurts is actually just like, oh, I know already. I already know too much. It's like this, the real master is like the one that knows nothing kind of thing. So Jordana, first of all, she's such a fun, excellent writer. And I remember this was the first book and I read every day that I actually gave a review because it was so good. She has a very clear formula in here and her stories are so fun. So it was this combination of her creating this very clear formula to help you manifest, also integrating storytelling into her book. And I do really, really love that there's a big focus on self-awareness, because if you back up to the beginning of this episode, I talk about how being a conscious creator, like it's a switch on. So without self-awareness, which is something that I'm always talking about and trying to do my best to sell, like for you to invest in the work that helps you strengthen and expand your self-awareness. Without that though, it's really going to be hard to create anything that you truly desire in your life, because if you're a conscious creator, you're consciously creating, you're being intentional, your self-awareness is supporting that process. So she does an incredible job on all things manifesting in this book. It is such a fun read. If you have not already checked it out, you definitely want to check it out. Make It Happen. Okay. Next one. So this is called This is called A Happy Pocket Full of Money, Infinite Wealth and Abundance in the Here and Now. I just love this book. The author, you know what I feel? I feel like it's my duty to share this book, because what this author, David Cameron Gika, I don't know how to say his last name. Sorry. Gikandi. What he wrote is so powerful, beautiful. Again, there were so many epic, reminders for me and just reinforcement that came in that was just so epic. And there's so many pieces in here that really validate a lot of my work, which made me feel fucking good, because I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. It's that kind of feeling, chapter 18, the self, architect of the universe. I love how he brings it back to self. I mean, ultimately it's all about self. Like everything is about fucking self, right? What's the relationship that you have with yourself? What's the relationship that you have with your thoughts, with your beliefs, with your feelings? All of that is affecting your reality. So this book definitely, let's just say if you're someone right now who's going through a financial hard time, read this fucking book. Read this book. And by the way, inserting this, if you don't have an open mind about what I'm sharing, I mean, you're probably not even watching this episode. So I probably don't even need to say it. You probably would have checked out a long time ago. But let's just say you're like, there's a little like, in you. I really want to invite you to give yourself permission, even for like a time period, to just get that fucking out of the way. That's not going to help you. You got to be open-minded. It takes guts. It takes courage, because in that constriction and that doubt, you feel like you're kind of protecting yourself, because what if it doesn't work out, right? What if you don't manifest the thing that you really wanted to manifest, and all that shit, right? So it's like a protective mechanism, but it's not. It's actually stopping you from what's actually possible for you in your life. And that actually is something that can spill over in other areas of your life. But I definitely want to encourage you to always have an open mind. And certainly when it comes to all things manifesting, and, when you go into these books or if you're listening to Abraham Hicks or, any resources like that, just allow yourself to just receive, just to be open and let what unfolds for you unfold. Like, let the synchronicities come through and happen. Like, be open. If I was trying to manifest a great purple Porsche, but the whole time I'm like, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. It's like, well, yeah, of course it's not going to happen, because again, my thoughts and my beliefs are supporting that to happen. So, either manifest what you want or manifest what you don't want. But either way, you're fucking manifesting. So that's important to realize. Okay. My final book for today, because I'll just tell you right now that the manifestation conversation will continue to unfold with the podcast, because there's just so many angles to talk about it. But I do want to bring in to the picture, because I've spoke about it already, As a Man Thinketh. And this version of the book you can't even get anymore. It's so old, and I'm just so grateful. It's really this book has become a melody for me. When I first got it, it was such a big gift in my life, and came in line time, and I read it every day. And it's one of those books that you could read front to back, but you could also just open to any page, and you can, take a paragraph or even a sentence and just carry that with you in your day. And it will support your mindset. It will shift your frequency. It really does, because it's that powerful. So I'm just going to read you a paragraph that I just opened to, and it's so beautiful. So this is in the section Effective Thought on Circumstances. Thought and character are one. And as character can only manifest and discover itself through environment and circumstance, the outer conditions of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to its inner state. It's like my quote, the inner shapes the outer. This does not mean that a man's circumstances at any given time are an indication of his entire character. That's so important. But that those circumstances are so intimately connected with some vital thought element within himself that for the time being, they are indispensable to his development. That is so fucking powerful. What a great paragraph I opened to. That's ultimately saying, like, there are certain circumstances that come into your life that you're like, I didn't do this, 2020 happened to all of us. Did you bring that on to yourself? No, I didn't either. But how are you responding to that? Like, what are your thoughts now in this circumstance that you're in? And what are your beliefs and what are your feelings? So that's what he's saying is like, it's not to say that every circumstance is a direct result of your entire character, but every circumstance will in some way be intimately linked to a thought that you are having, right? To a feeling that you're having. And all of that is just putting the agency back into you to create your reality, to make any circumstance that you are moving through something that in some way, shape, or form will serve you. So even a shitty situation could be leveraged as, an opportunity for growth, right? But it's all about your thoughts around it, your perspectives, your filters. How are you looking at it? And that's my favorite part about manifesting. It's fun to be in a position where you really want something to come through for you in your life. And it does. Like when it does, it's like, oh shit, this is incredible. Or maybe it's like better than you could have even imagined. But I think the part for me that feels the best, the most powerful, and really why I truly resonate so deeply with the whole notion, idea, and actuality of manifesting is because it puts agency. It shows you your agency, that you are here to create your reality, that circumstances actually don't fucking matter, that you at every single moment of your life have the ability to create experiences that are going to serve you. It's not easy for so many fucking reasons. We don't just operate from our conscious mind. We operate mostly from our subconscious mind. And that's where shit gets really tricky, because you can sit here and consciously be like, yeah, I believe in myself. But in your subconscious, because of your childhood experience, because of a relationship that fucked you up, or all of it, whatever the case is, you actually don't really believe in yourself, but you're not aware that in the trunk, we'll just call the subconscious a trunk, that's actually fucking with your reality, right? So what's cool about when you start really getting into manifesting is that you start diving in, like if it's really important to you and you really want to get into the science of manifesting, then you're going to start to become aware of your subconscious thinking, your subconscious mind, and, limiting beliefs and all of these things that maybe you're not even aware of, you're not thinking of, right? So it opens the door to many doors that all bring you back to your most authentic self, to your heart, connecting with your heart, to self-love, to empowerment, like you being an empowered individual, someone who is on your own team, like you're here to give yourself what you truly believe you are deserving and worthy of in your life, right? That's ultimately what I love about manifesting. Manifesting is not just, oh, I want this to happen, so, if I just think about it and do nothing. No, that's not how it works. It's not just this passive experience. There is absolutely a multitude of ways that you have to be active with the manifestation process. But again, just kind of wrapping this out here, my favorite fucking part of it is that you are your own magic wand in this, manifesting process. The agency is within you to create your reality. And I love that shit, whether it's something that you don't love experiencing or you do love experiencing, there's always this invitation for you to check in with yourself. If it's something that you're experiencing that doesn't feel great, it's not to say that you are ultimately manifesting that, but it does invite you, when manifesting is a big part of your life, you're always going to be checking in like, am I contributing to this? Could I be? Is there some undercover limiting belief? Is there a low key, ambient self-doubt situation happening here? The point is that you're going to ask yourself questions, and those fucking questions are huge. Those questions will ultimately give you very important material for your growth and for, your entire life experience. So I hope that what I shared in some way supported you wherever you are in your life, manifesting, not manifesting, manifesting like a badass. Ultimately, the ultimate idea here is that you do have the power to shape your reality, you certainly have the power to create what you truly want to experience in your life. You just have to be brave enough to not settle for less, to believe that it's possible. Don't cut yourself short on the vision because that's not realistic. Fuck realistic. Fuck realistic. That word will tear you down every time when it comes to manifesting. And I know some people may want to be like, oh, but you have to be realistic. Like, you know what? The word is kind of, is there a place where you could implement some aspects of being more practical? I prefer the word, sure. But the word realistic, like, what does that mean? Your realistic and my realistic are going to be fucking different because everyone's functioning with our own filter, right? And from that filter is our own life experience. So whenever someone's like, be realistic, I'm like, you mean adjust to your reality? Adjust to what you think is realistic? I'm not here for that. I'm here for my fucking reality, right? See, the passion comes out of me. The fuego starts to come. So fuck realistic, but it takes courage because your limiting beliefs, fears, and all of the shit that we've been told, about what is realistic. And, we'll start to come in and try and convince you that navy blue Porsche under a certain sunlight is the Porsche. But it's not. Stick to what you want. Believe in it. Don't over control it. Have faith in yourself. Listen to fucking the resources. Get in touch with your future self. I have a free future self meditation and guided journal. If you want to start there before diving into my course, which you could also dive into, which is so incredibly epic. And, trust me, I didn't create this course. This wasn't like, let me create a course so I'm making the money. It's because so many of you want answers. So many of you want support. How do I ultimately create this relationship with myself where there's more self-love, more self-confidence, more self-trust so that I can really experience the fucking life that I want to experience, your future self? That's how I've done it. That's how I'm doing it. And I'm not the only one. But this course is my unique take and, guidance to help you get into this relationship with your future self. But if you want to start with the future self meditation and guided journal, there's a link in the show notes. You can go to roxannesaffaie.com. It's there as well. And yeah, TBC on the idea, the concept of manifesting. I'll bring on more guests as well that, where their whole business is focused on manifesting because I love this subject. So the power is within you. Thank you for sticking around, taking in this whole episode. If you loved it, let me know. You can actually comment now on Spotify, which is so rad. I love that. So comment there, hit me up in the DMs on Instagram, Roxy Look. You know how to find me. I'm all over the place. I'll see you on the next one.
To all my tender savages, to all you self-lovers, to all you magnetic badasses who are showing up every day authentically, courageously, who refuse to play small, I'm so excited to introduce our new lifestyle brand, La Roe & Paw, because we designed it just for you. Who's we? We is my work wife / wing woman / badass graphic artist, Paulina Stewart. Every design is a culmination of deep intention, love, fire, magic, heart, and soul brought to life through my writing and Paulina's graphic work. Because we are so intentional about every single statement, every design, we only drop one design a month. We want you to live it. We want you to feel the essence and the frequency of every design because they are so powerful, like you. So check it out, laroeandpaw.com. It's in the show notes. The new drop is so sick, and I cannot wait to see all of you wearing it. You get a variety of products to choose from in each drop. So wear it on your head, hat. You can get socks. You can wear a hoodie. You can hang it on your wall. Whatever you end up doing, please do let us know by sharing it on your socials and your stories. Tag at Roxy Look, tag La Roe & Paw, and we will reshare the powerful, magnetic, badass beauty that you are. laroeandpaw.com.